All right, it says I'm live. It says I'm alive. So I'm going to try to show you guys how to put together my mother-in-law's white Christmas cake. It's a very light colored fruit cake. It's not like the really dark colored fruit cake that you get at the grocery store. And I'm sorry about the shadows. I'm in my kitchen. The setup's not 100% great, but I thought I would do my best to show you guys this. So I'm just going to move some ingredients out of the way, and we're going to talk about how I start it and what I do. I did start mixing this up earlier, and I'll show you what I start with. And that's any of the dried fruits, okay? Hi, Pam. Hi, Ray D. We'll talk about the other fruits that are in here next, but this is anything that's dried. The recipe calls for a pound of white raisins, but you can use any dried fruits. So I had what was left of some brown raisins. I had a package, about a cup and a half of dates. And I had, what else did I put in here? Oh, dried cherries. So I'm using what I have on hand here. I did have to go and purchase something to bring up the count on the nuts, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right. I started this when Janet was live, because what I do is, hang on. All right, you can't be making all that noise. It's just a penny. Cats are like toddlers, aren't they? All right, so this is the fruit, which is about a pound of fruit, the dried fruit. Now there's dried fruit and there's candied fruit in this fruit cake. This is the dried fruit. And in here, I put a half a cup of spiced rum. The first time I tried this, we had Captain Morgan's. This is just Costco's Kirkland brand spiced rum. So I'm not being, I'm not spouting for a specific spiced rum. Whatever you have on hand. If you don't have spiced rum, you can use just plain rum. But I put the half a cup of rum in here with the fruit, and I let this set for about an hour or longer. To basically drunken the fruit. So this fruit is drunk. Now, this alcohol will cook off during the baking. But I do add more spiced rum while it is still warm. This will not be eaten this week. This cake has to ripen. And what you do is you wrap it in multiple layers of plastic wrap, and wrap it tight up once it's cooled, not when it's warm, but once it's cooled. You wrap it with several layers of plastic wrap, a layer of wax paper, and then aluminum foil. And you put it in your freezer for 4 to 6 weeks. I've got about 4 weeks till Christmas, so that's why I thought I would do this today. So again, this is the dried fruit and a half a cup of spiced rum. You mix that up an hour or more before you do anything else. And while that's sitting, you take the dried fruits, and it calls for, not dried fruits, the candied fruits, white pineapple, red pineapple, green pineapple, and cherries. So you have a total of a pound and a half of the candied fruits. I hate that you can't see, but I could not locate everything. So the yellowy stuff that's in there is candied pineapple. Then I have candied red cherries and candied green cherries. And they're basically that red and green because they're dyed. All right. So basically you probably got some white grapes that were dyed those colors, those festive colors. I do have a chef friend that spouts the use of making your own candied fruit, which is great if you like things like the lemon peel and the orange peel and that kind of stuff. I hate the citron that's in the basic fruit cakes. I hate that stuff with a passion. So I don't put any of that in my fruit cake. So this is the candied fruit. So you got candied fruit and you got dried fruit. And so the next thing I had to get mixed up ahead of time is 6 cups of any nuts. This is a mixture of English walnuts, pecans, and almonds. And I've got them in here, and I just kind of mixed them up. In here, 6 cups of nuts. Then you need a half a pound of butter and 5 eggs, which I've brought these up to room temperature. Vanilla, self-rising flour, which is in my Swiss Miss hot cocoa mix box from 1986. It shows a pregnant girl on here somewhere, right here. And I was pregnant that year, so that's why that's in there. And sugar. All right. So we're just going to mix this up together. We're not going to need that for a minute. Let me get my huge bowl. I just used it and washed it. It's going to make noise because it's at the bottom of the drying rack here. And in just a little bit, I need to start the oven up for white bread that I made before this. In fact, I need to pull that out and turn the oven on. So hold that thought, please. Let me pull out my risen white bread. I'm making my bread for my stuffing. So let me show you. This is the loaf of white bread I mixed up earlier. And I've got it covered with a damp cloth. And I need to start the oven up for it. And it needs 375 degrees. So when that goes beep, beep, we'll deal with that. So the first thing in your bowl is going to be the butter and the sugar, and we have to cream those together. Oh, you like my shoes? I got them off Amazon. Let me see. Oh, you can't see them now. Woo! They got flowers on them. I'd love some with cats. I ought to look and see if Amazon has some. Maybe Scott could get them for me for Christmas. That would be so fitting. Did y'all's grandmothers or mothers save the butter wrappers like this? My grandmother saved the parquet wrappers for greasing your cookie sheets. All right. Got me a cloth here to just wipe my hands on. And then we got to put a cup of sugar in here with this and cream it. So this is not diabetic friendly. That's the timer going off. The oven's still heating. Not a diabetic friendly recipe. There was enough humidity in the house over the summer that the bag of sugar I had up in the cabinet, it's got lumps in it. That's pretty bad. All right, so there's a cup of sugar. I don't know how you guys feel about the mixer running, but I'm going to have to use the handheld mixer. Hopefully I can get it down. I didn't think to grab that. It's not good for your diet, but it's something you share because it's quite expensive to make, because the cup and a half of pecans was $6 alone, and then all that candied fruit. It's an expensive cake. But luckily, not very many people like fruit cake. And this one doesn't taste anything like that stuff you buy in a brick form, because I can't stand the brick form Claxton cakes. Sorry, Claxton. I don't like your fruit cake. It's just an honest review. If they can't handle it, that's their problem. Angie says she loves fruitcake. All right. Keep in mind, this is going to get loud. It's a metal bowl. My sisters are always like, you should do that with a spoon. And I'm like, why? I can do it with the mixer. It's soft butter. It's been sitting out. We got to cream this up good. It is very tasty. And if you like spiced rum, it's even tastier. I even got told that it's better than my mother-in-law's, the way I make it. And some butter just hit the floor. I'll have to clean that up. Might have to come down off the board here. Because you want this to be creamy. I've used my KitchenAid, but I dirtied that all up making the other bread. Bear with me while I get this. I did put a link to the recipe in the description box below. It'll take you to my old blog where I keep this recipe. I did print off a copy to put into my book, my new cookbook for our favorite recipes that I'm putting together. So Greg will have all our favorite recipes in one place when I'm long gone, which will be many years down the road, I hope. We're getting softer. After this, we add the eggs, but I want this to be really creamed really well. This mixer's about wore out. Now we got to do the eggs, and because I grew up on a farm, I never just drop the eggs straight into whatever I'm cooking. I break the egg into a little bowl because it takes one time to learn to do this, of getting a rotten egg and ruining your entire batch. You never want that. I'm going to get this butter off the floor with this napkin. And I've got soapy water in my sink that I can wash my hands off real quick. I don't know if that's Juanita in the backyard or somebody else, but they're hunting. I don't know what they're looking for. I think that is Juanita. All right, so yeah, you break your eggs into a separate dish. Make sure it's not bad. And I'm going to beat these in one at a time. I might have to get a spatula and scrape the sides. How do you know if the egg is bad? It'll smell if it's rotten, or it'll have like bloody streaks in it. Bloody streaked eggs means it's fertilized, but if it's too ugly looking, I throw them away. But if you get a rotten egg, you know it. Because it's that bad. All right. If you want to test your eggs, if you're in a situation where you've got, especially if you've got children gathering eggs, what you can do is get a bowl of water and just gently lay your egg in. And if your egg goes and lays flat, it's a good egg. It's still good if it stands on its tip like that. But if it starts floating, you need to not use that one. That one's a stinker. That means it's been hidden by a chicken for far too long. Yeah, this is going to be an aged fruit cake. You can see this is a fertilized egg. You see the little white over here? That means it's been fertilized. It's not going to kill you. It just means if it hadn't been put in the refrigerator, you could have probably incubated it. But once an egg is refrigerated, its viability is no more. Takes a while to mix in 5 eggs. Last egg. Is my oven hot for my white bread to bake? Not quite. Got 45 more degrees. So these dishes will go over here in the sink. Now we're going to put a cup of our self-rising flour in here. So I need to get a cup of flour out. Okay. We'll mix that up. Once this is mixed in here, we'll not be mixing with the mixer anymore, and I'll be able to not have to talk over the mixer. And I'm going to make just one big fruit cake. All right. We don't need the mixer anymore, so we'll put it away. You wouldn't want this right now. There's no flavorings in it. It's just eggs and butter and a little flour. Don't you know we're not supposed to eat raw dough? All right. We'll use this big cool spatula. Get all the goodness off the sides. Oh, it does. It's got sugar, eggs, butter. All right. So we've got this all mixed together. So now we still have another cup of flour that we've got to use. So I'm going to measure that out. And I just scoop my flour up and I take the back of a knife and tap the top a couple of times and then smooth it off. That's how the Frugal Gourmet taught me to do it. That's my other cup of flour, but it does not go in the batter. You put this, mix your other cup of flour with the fruits and nuts. And what that does is it puts a little bit of coating on the fruits and nuts so they don't just all sink to the bottom of the cake pan. When you put flour on your fruits and nuts and things like that, it keeps them from sinking. So what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of this flour on this fruit, about a third of it. And we'll mix that up. Oh, and that's my oven. So we're just going to coat this with some flour in here. And you can see how it's coating it. And that keeps it from sinking, for anybody that didn't know that. All right, there's that. Let me slide my white bread in the oven. It's got to bake for about 55 minutes. And the reason I'm making this is I'm trying to make my grandmother's Thanksgiving for the three of us this year. And just have a quiet kind of New England Thanksgiving. 55 minutes. So there is that. And got that mixed up. We'll put some flour in with the drunken fruit. And that'll also sop up some more of that good spiced rum. And again, the alcohol will bake off from this. So if I didn't pour more alcohol on it when it's warm, this would be okay for kids. But I do put more rum on the cakes while they're still warm. Between a quarter cup and another half a cup of rum, put it on the warm cake, and it just, oh, it's so good. All right, and then we're going to mix this last bit in here with the nuts. Now I'll just use this spoon from the fruit because it's all about to get put in with the other. And we'll have to mix it up. And I have not prepared a cake pan. So do you guys want to see how I prepare the cake pans? I think this makes just one cake though. One big cake. You could probably make two smaller cakes out of this and stretch them out. You know, you could have one at Christmas and then you can make another one, pull it out and have it for New England. I'm making you want to cook. Good. We should all know how to cook. All right. I'm going to start mixing these into the batter. You can see that just looks like a tiny bit of batter, and we've got to put all of this fruit and nuts in here. So it gets really quite stiff. This is a KitchenAid spatula that I got at a discount store somewhere. I tell you what, I love this thing. All right, so there's the nuts. Mix the candied fruit in. Oh, I wanted to also tell you the candied fruit comes, the pineapple will either come in rings or in like little slices, like sliced wedges, like the chunks. And I cut them in half with kitchen scissors. And the same for the cherries, because the cherries come whole. So I've cut them in half. That just makes it easier to slice the fruit cake. You can tell there was a lot of sugar on those cherries because the flour is sticking to the to this pan. Maybe I'll take the dried drunken fruit and put them over in here if I can see if I can get some more of that flour loose. This is the I can't remember the name of this pottery, but when we moved into this house, this bowl, we thought they would definitely want it because it's collectible pottery, and she just kept throwing it out into a trash pile. So I said, fine, it's mine now. Scott could tell you exactly what the pottery company was. I can't think of it right now. And something that I do is I pull all my ingredients out so I don't forget something. And I still have to put vanilla in here. We still have to put the vanilla in. And we need a teaspoon of vanilla. It does not have any spices in it because you get so much flavor from the spiced rum, the different fruits, and all. So let me put a teaspoon of vanilla. So I find a teaspoon measure. Oh, no. I don't know if I have another one in this drawer or not. I have a half a teaspoon. I think that's a half. Yep. So we'll put 2 of these in. One dose. There we go. And I can't put the vanilla away right now, but I know that I've put it in. All right, I'm going to use this wooden spoon because the spatula gives a little bit, and I really want to stir this up good. That's what my mother-in-law says. Now make sure you stir that good when we made them together. I have a video on my channel of us cooking with Scott's mom, making this very same cake, and it's quite entertaining to watch because she was younger, we were younger, and she kept saying, "I'm Julia Child," and it was kind of funny. Her name is Julia, but she's not Julia Child. She's Julia McCauley. Oh, I can smell that spiced rum. It smells so good. And this is how stiff this batter is, because it's really mostly nuts and fruit. Hence, it's fruit cake, y'all. And you want to mix everything good. So every slice has cherries, every slice has pineapple, every slice has some of the nuts in it. And I've got to dig in the cabinet for the pan I need. I'm not fully prepared to do this, apparently. So if you wanted to make this, the recipe is in the description box. It'll take you over to my blog that I haven't written on in years, probably. I keep thinking I'm going to start writing on that again, and that's about as far as it gets. What I would love is to have all of my blog put onto pages and make a book out of it for my son. And I don't know where to go to have something like that done. It's several years of our life worth of stuff on there, because I used to write every day. Bread's starting to smell good already that's baking. Now this cooks a long time. Your oven is set at only 250 degrees, and you cook it for 2.5 hours. And then you check it with a cake checker to make sure it's not still doughy. And then I let it set for like 10 minutes. And then while it's still warm, I'll put the additional 1/4 to a 1/2 cup of rum. And I just kind of drizzle it over the top. And because the cake is warm, it absorbs it. And then once it's totally cool, I'm going to tell you what I do. I wrap it in several layers of plastic, then some wax paper, and then some foil. And I put it in the freezer, and we forget about it until Christmas. That's looking pretty good, and I'm getting really sticky. All right, so that's how stiff this batter is. Give me just a sec. I've got to dig out my pan I need for this. All right, let's see. Yeah, I'm getting a real arm workout. Right. All right, let me get down in this cabinet. I might have to clean the pan too. There it is, all the way at the back. Gotta climb on the floor. Of course, it's at the back on the bottom. I'm going to rinse it out. It was upside down, but I still like to rinse it out since I haven't used it. Another thing, I'm going to have to wait to put this in the oven until the white bread is done baking and the oven cools down to the 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Don't know what that is in Celsius. You'll have to put it in a conversion. When I'm going to show you how I fix the pan, because we're going to grease it and line it and put a little flour in there too. So let me rinse it out and dry it good. Once we get this fixed and you slide this in that oven for 2.5 hours, you need to put a jelly roll pan on the very bottom shelf, like this. You know, a pan that's got some depth to it. You just set this in and you fill this with water. And what that does is, because this has to bake for 2.5 hours at a very low temperature, what that does is it keeps the cake moist, and it also keeps it, or nearly always will prevent it from burning. Now, if you look in at maybe the 1.5, 2 hours, and maybe your oven's running a little hot and your top is starting to get too dark, what you can do is just take some aluminum foil, and you don't have to fit it over the top. You just lay it on top of there. Just lay it across. And what that does is it keeps it from burning the top. All right. I'm going to get a fresh towel to dry this. Scott will be tickled when he comes home and he smells this cooking. All right. All right, so this is I guess you'd call it a bundt pan, or angel food cake pan because it's got the tube in the middle. That's what you really want. You can bake fruit cake in loaf pans if you want to, but I think they bake more even if they've got this in the middle. So we need Crisco, and I keep my Crisco in the refrigerator. That way it's always chilled and it never goes rancid, which I'm not sponsored, but I should be because the only shortening I ever use is Crisco. But hello, Crisco. Get with me. Then we're going to get some wax paper. What we're going to do with this is, I got way too much here, and I need a pair. I got my scissors. Let me get. Yes, I got my spank too because you got like a counter. Sorry, I had to walk in the other room. And I'm just going to draw around my pan. I can see that, I think. I used them earlier to cut the cherries, and then I've washed all that sugar off from them. If you don't have waxed paper, you can use parchment paper to do this. I think in UK, y'all don't have waxed paper. You can see I'm wasting a bunch of wax paper here. Okay. Then you're going to fold your circle in half. And you fold your circle in half again. And then you can lay it in here. And we'll just cut a little teeny circle off the corner, like you're doing a circle skirt. And then when you open up, you test it. Didn't take a big enough cut, so fold it back up. And that'll work. That'll do, donkey. All right. So now, let me get some of this stuff out of the way here. I'm going to make my hands a mess. Just get some Crisco and grease the sides, the bottom, and the tube. Yes, I'm sticking my hands in my Crisco. The horrors of it. If you don't grease your pan, it will stick. We need some flour. All right, I'm going to just sprinkle some flour in here. My flour back over here. Sorry, that's probably annoying. All right, now I'm going to slide the wax paper down in like so. Smooth it on there. Okay. I'm putting a little bit of Crisco on the wax paper. It probably would not stick anyway because of the wax paper. All right, so that's in there, all good. Now the fun part, getting this stiff batter in here. All right, don't need any more of that. All right. Get my spatula back. And I forgot one thing. I forgot to save some pecans and cherries to do a decorative little flower on the top. So if I'd kept some cherries separate, you can make like 5 little petals with the cherries, and then you can use the pecans for some leaf looking things. And you can do several clusters on the top of your fruit cake, and it looks really pretty. But I didn't do that, so there's not going to be any prettiness to it. It's just going to be yummy. So sorry about that. And again, this is a really stiff batter. It's mostly fruit. And you just kind of push it down in there. Now this, Angie, is yummy. And I'm just kind of pushing this down. It will come all the way to the top of the pan because we've used the self-rising flour. Now my mother-in-law divides this between several smaller pans. I wish I hadn't forgot to save some fruit for decorating, but it'll be all right. Scott will be tickled that I'm doing this today. I didn't tell him I was going to do fruit cakes today. It just kind of came in my head, and I thought, oh, that's what I can do for my live today. It'll have to be later in the day, but I can do that. My mother-in-law's in my head going, now don't leave any. Get every last bit out of the bowl. Don't you leave any in the bowl. All right, so I have to wait on the loaf bread to come out, and then I'll have to let the oven get lower in temperature, because right now it's at 375, and this needs, what did I say, 250? So there is my fruit cake that is most definitely 95% fruit. Any questions? smells divine. Let's see. Oh, Kathy, my girls and I are going to do the annual cookie making day. Oh, how fun. How fun. I used to do things like that with my family, and that's all I'm going to say about it. Your aunt had a cat named Fruitcake. That is hilarious. And Flo wants to know, did the kitty get doused in rum? Oh, I remember. And the lid flew off and it was everywhere. And you've got a brand new kitchen this year. I bet he felt bad for wasting stuff, though. I know I would. Of course, that was kind of drilled into me. So this morning, I'm trying to make room in this refrigerator. And I don't know how many jars of stuff there was in there, but things that belonged in the door of the refrigerator were in the main part of the refrigerator. And I was trying to make room for the holiday cooking because I have to go get a turkey and have room in the refrigerator for it. So I was going through and I was pitching things with expired dates. And then Greg comes in and he's getting ready for work. He's like, hey, where's my Asian barbecue sauce? And I'm like, well, if it had an expired date, it's out in the trash can. I was going to use that today. I was like, I'm sorry. I'll buy you some more. And then I can't find the one that he had. So he probably got it somewhere expensive like Publix or the Asian market or something. Those will have to be washed again. So that's making my mother-in-law's white fruit cake. And again, the reason it's called a white fruit cake is it doesn't get dark as it bakes. It stays kind of more of a blonde. Angie says she has to go. But it stays more of a blonde color. Ooh, I'm using one of my dishcloths. So when the bread comes out, I will lower the temperature. I'll put that pan, because you got to have that pan to hold water. Hi, Renee. And once the oven comes down to the 250, I'll put this in with the pan of water on the bottom shelf. That'll keep the fruit cake from browning too much or burning on the bottom. And it'll keep it really moist. So you'll have a moist fruit cake. You can put a pan of water in also when you're doing any kind of bread, and it will give you that nice, thick, dense crust, like a hard roll has. That's how you get the harder consistency on the outer part of the bread as you put water in there. I know that you can also just open it and spray toward the bottom with a spray of water. I've seen people do that. I just use what they call a jelly roll pan. It's the one that makes the real thin layer cake that you can roll up and put all kinds of goodness in it. And I'm just going to get a cooling rack for the bread for when it comes out. And that's all I have. Okay? I hope you guys enjoyed seeing how to mix this up. If you want to give it a try, the recipe's there in the description box. And thanks for being here. It's 12:04 now. Yeah, I'm thinking about coming on right after Janet Nash on Mondays instead of the 6:45 in the morning. I think more of you all are awake. Tippy's like, can you pet me now, Mama? Oh, and I have this that I can cover the cake until I can get it in the oven. All right. All right, guys. Thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. Bye.